Shocking secrets revealed, unveiling the hidden causes and devastating effects of climate change. Climate change is already happening, and it's having a wide range of effects that will affect almost every person on Earth, in ways that are getting worse and worse. It's a known fact that the climate of the Earth can change the course of history. It can change how the planet works in biological, cultural, and geographical ways. But over the last century, it was realized that even human activities could alter the climate to a great extent. Over the past 100 years, the average global surface temperature has gone up by about 0.7 degrees Celsius, which has changed the climate. When we speak about climate change, we usually think that it's a problem that doesn't really affect us in our everyday lives. We think the 1 or 2 degree increase in the global temperature, the melting of the ice caps, and the rise of several centimeters of sea level are remote issues which do not impact our health, economy, and leisure. Causes of climate change. Examples of these emissions are carbon dioxide and methane, which come from using petrol to drive a car or coal to heat a building. The UN notes that energy, industry, buildings, transport, agriculture, and land use are a few of the main emitters. In addition, land and forest clearance can also release carbon dioxide. Landfill sites are a main source of methane emissions. It's a problem that, although well known, humanity has not yet been able to curb. This is evidenced by the fact that emissions are still rising steadily. Thus, the Earth's temperature is now 1.1 degrees Celsius higher than it was at the end of the 19th century. The last decade, from 2011 to 2020, was the warmest on record. Changes in the climate can hurt our health, our ability to grow food, our homes, our safety, and our ability to work. Some of us, like those who live in small island nations and other developing countries, are already more likely to be hurt by climate change. Conditions like rising sea levels and saltwater intrusion have gotten so bad that whole communities have had to move, and long-lasting droughts are making it possible that there will be famine. Because of this, it's likely that the number of climate refugees will also rise in the future. The World Meteorological Organization, or WMO, is a specialized agency of the United Nations. Its most recent report on the state of the climate, which came out in May of last year, shows that 4 key indicators of climate change, such as greenhouse gas concentrations, ocean heat content, ocean acidification, and sea level rise, all reached record highs in 2021. A further example, says the WMO, that human activities are causing planetary scale changes in the land, ocean, and atmosphere, and that these changes have harmful and lasting impacts on sustainable development and ecosystems. The agency goes even further, noting that these extreme conditions, which are experienced daily due to climate change, caused hundreds of billions of dollars in economic losses in 2021, a high price in human lives, and severely undermined people's well-being, as well as profoundly altering food and water security and exacerbating displacements, all which are worsening during 2022 thus far. How is climate change measured? Since climate change is something that happens over a long time, it can be hard to measure. Climate change can be proven by keeping track of specific metrics that measure and track these changes, such as surface temperature, that is the air, land, and water temperature on the surface level. It is a direct pointer that climate change has occurred. It's important because scientists can figure out how much the temperature will warm or cool over time by measuring how fast it changes. Sea level rise? This is a slower process, but when ice melts, the sea level goes up. Scientists can figure out how much the oceans will grow by watching how much the sea level goes up. This is important because rising sea levels can force millions of people to move. Greenhouse gas parts per million. This is how many greenhouse gases there are in the air. For example, when scientists measure how much CO2 people put into the air, they can get a better idea of how much global warming will happen in the future. Even though not everyone believes in climate change, scientists can explain what it is and how it affects the Earth. As climate change problems get worse, it becomes harder and harder to reverse them. So we think everyone should agree that climate change is real and that ignoring the problem will only make it worse. People, businesses, and also the governments should work together on a local and global scale, and they should start doing this right away. One of the best ways to bring about this change is to vote for leaders who understand how serious the problem is and are willing to work to reduce its causes and effects. Changes in rainfall patterns. We've all seen that floods, droughts, too much rain, and rain that comes at odd times have become more common in the last few decades. All of these are the results of climate change. Some places get a lot of rain, which causes floods, but other places have to deal with droughts. Loss of wildlife species. Temperature changes and changes in the way plants grow have caused some bird species to go extinct, and others to move to new places. In 2008, polar bears were added to the list of animals that might go extinct because the sea level is rising. Experts say that by 2050, 1/4 of all species on Earth could be gone. Increase in sea level. Rises in sea level can force tens of millions of people to move from low-lying places. As the Earth warms up and glaciers melt, they release more water into the oceans, which causes the sea level to rise. About 100 million people live within 3 feet of mean sea level in the United States alone. People who live in small island nations like Maldives are already looking for other places to go. High temperatures. By the end of this century, the Earth's temperature will rise by 3 to 10 degrees Fahrenheit because factories and cars are putting more gases into the air. The sudden rise in temperature has led to an increase in the number of deaths caused by hot and dry weather. During the last century, the average temperature of the Earth went up by 1 degree Fahrenheit, which is a cause for concern in and of itself. Temperatures could go down by 0.5 degrees Celsius by 2050, according to research. Prolonged heat waves. The main thing that causes climate change is the constant release of greenhouse gases from all human activities. Greenhouse gases come from the burning of fuels, factories, farming, and other activities. These gases heat up the air and raise the temperature, which makes it hard for people to live. Wildfires. Long heat waves brought on by climate change have made it hot and dry enough for wildfires to start. Because of this, forests are being cut down, which forces wild animals to move to areas with higher elevations. Animals that couldn't change to their new environment died, and their species went extinct. Recent research shows that summer thunderstorms that send water high into the atmosphere could hurt the ozone layer that protects the United States. This is one of the first observations that shows a link between a change in the weather and the amount of ozone above a human settlement. Weather is very important to our lives. Every society in the world has adapted to and lived in a certain climate and environment. When the climate changes, it throws off the normal way of life and forces people to readapt. If the climate changes in a big way, things like farming, water, the weather cycle, power, transportation, and more will change. What are your thoughts on climate change? Let us know in the comments below. And if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want to watch more insightful videos, click on your screen now, and we'll see you there.